What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Prediction Strike, Dana White's Contender Series podcast, where we just do a quick run through every week ahead of the Contender Series cards, and just give you guys our input, who we think is gonna come out on top, who we think is a good buy on Prediction Strike, and just talk some fights. We
Oh
have a
yeah.
really fun week this week, some good fights. My favorite, or like one of my favorite contenders on the entire Contender Series, Season 8, Torres Finney fights this week. So yeah, some fun.
All right. Well, we're live here. We're
Yeah,
all
and
back.
here on
We
the
got
cover, we have
a
we have
very okay, Grant. We're cutting you off with the graphics here. We're not letting Dana or whatever one of you is doing this with Dana here. This is getting out of hand. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
yeah,
Walk us through it, Jackson.
yep. That we got Andreas Gustafsson and Pat Pitlick here, the main event. Billy Brand, Cody Haddon. This is going to be a fun one, I think. Probably at least what I envision to be as the most competitive fight on this card. Billy Brand at $3, Cody Haddon at $2, and the odds have kind of shifted around a lot this week. Just a lot of inherent value on the Cody Haddon side of things, considering that he is now what I believe is a 2-1 favorite or something around that. So we're getting value on the Haddon side of things here. He's 6-1. Billy Brand 5-1, and both of these guys have had some impressive fights in their past against some name brand fighters. Cody gave Steve Urseg a really tough fight a while back, one of the tougher fights that we've seen Urseg in. I mean, obviously outside of getting rocked by Kai Kara last weekend. And we've seen Billy Brand go toe-to-toe with Peyton Talbot. That was a really close fight as well, and we know how good Peyton is and can be now. And Billy, he is fighting out of MMA Gold, Haddon out of Luistro. Um, these guys have similar styles. Both are strikers for the most part, small for the bantamweight division, very fast and athletic. Billy Brand, Muay Thai guy, good movement, very fast, good leg kicks, body kicks. Does a good job of slowing down the pace to where he wants it. Going to probably come in handy against Cody here. And he can wrestle as well. He has been incorporating it into his offense more and more in A1, which is Uriah Faber's promotion. And Cody Haddon, striker as well. Like I said, he has been fighting in Australia, had some really solid wins under his belt since losing to Steve Urseg. He has been grappling and wrestling a little bit more too. I could see him leaning that way against Brand, who does get hit. Haddon is one of the better strikers, and I think he has more room to excel with the offensive wrestling. In this one, he's probably a little bit more developed in that aspect of fighting. So I'm going to slightly lean Cody Haddon. This one could definitely go the distance. It's going to be a competitive fight. These two guys definitely get a lot of knockouts, though. But Haddon is lean. I think this is easily the best value on Prediction Strike of the entire card. If I were to be making a buy, I think I would probably just put everything into Haddon this week.
So I do have a question here. Last
Yeah.
week, I want to say every single DWCS fight ended in a knockout. Do we see that trend continue? I could be wrong, but I want to
I
say
think
almost.
so. I mean,
The nature of how
I
the
think this one could go to
competition works
decision.
is guys
I think,
going for contracts and stuff.
yeah.
So you see a lot of guys kind of just go out, even if they're outclassed skill wise. You see dudes kind of realize that and just kind of go for it more so than you would see when they're already under contract in the UFC because they want to kind of maintain reputation and things like that. So in this type of situation, I feel like you will naturally see more knockouts regardless of the fighter's style. So I think that trend will probably continue throughout most of the season.
Right on.
Definitely. It's like you're going to see guys headhunting a lot more on Contender Series than you will in like the actual UFC.
Good to know. All right, some more marksmen in there. Moving on to the next fight, Cameron Railstone versus Torres Finney. He built like a rectangle. He built like a string bean.
Yeah, if you're just looking at these two fighters next to each other, you kind of want to side with one instantly. I think the Torres Finney side of things, he's clearly massive. Like
You remember
The
VeggieTales?
traps
I mean, just
are
look at the-
scary.
Did you guys ever watch VeggieTales growing up? Like he
Yeah.
looks like Larry,
Yeah, I love VeggieTales.
like a asparagus dude.
He does
like,
gotta look like Larry.
like.
He does.
Anyway, sorry, I
That's
didn't mean to
funny.
throw us off there. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm
but it's
gonna
like
mute
you
myself.
can't even scale. Can't even scale these two fighters correctly just with pictures, just because one's such like a different proportion than the other. Torres is 5'8". Cameron
That's a
Rouse,
wide
I think, is
man.
closer to like 6'2", 6'3". Yeah, and he's like 285 pounds. He's an absolute beast. I did a video on him on our TikTok a while back, just as a prospect watch. He beat Yuri Pamfarov on Contender Series last year and was weirdly not offered a contract after that. A lot of people thought he should have been. It was a finish. Looked good. Especially because Yuri is also a wrestler, and he looked really successful in the wrestling, got the sub in the second round, and like recovered from getting taken down pretty much instantly by Yuri in the first. Most recently, Torres caught Tyson Jeffries with a nasty overhand. And like I said, like Torres is more of a wrestler. That's where he has a background in. But this dude is just so powerful that you'll see a bunch of knockouts on his resume. And that's partially just because he has good ground and pound. When he gets people to the ground, he'll literally just throw people to the ground. But like he's just so powerful. Like if he touches someone, there's a good chance they get knocked out. And yeah, he just tosses people around, good ground and pound. We saw his grappling displayed against Yuri Panfarov, who's a really good grappler himself. Rouston, kickboxer, fights out of City Kickboxing. Some good kickboxers have come out of there, Carlos Olberg, to name one. Striking is very, very good. He doesn't fight that often. He doesn't have any MMA bouts since 2022, and that was against Payne Haraki, who like is not very good, had a 3-6 record at the time of him fighting against him. And so low level of competition, I think, just overall, at least relative to Torres Finney. I don't think Rouston's going to be able to defend those takedowns from him straight up. I think his center of gravity is too low. He's going to have too much success with the wrestling and will ultimately get this finish win over Cam Rouston. Could be by either knockout or sub, so I probably wouldn't lean either direction there. And honestly, prices are not too bad for Torres here on PS.
Do you think with a win, it's pretty much a guarantee that he gets a contract?
And yeah.
Jackson, do you think Torres Finney gets a contract guaranteed if he wins this time?
I think he has to. He's just, it's like, it would be such a weird business move for Dana not to. Like most of these guys that like come on Contender Series have like, you know, around 10K followers or something, 5K to start with. Torres already has like a massive following. He's like just visually one of the most exciting fighters ever. So yeah, I think he gets a contract here unless Cameron Rouston somehow pulls off the upset.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to the next bout here. Make sure I didn't skip one. I thought I did. All right. Make sure. Yep. All right. We got a guy who's just like, I'm here, guys. And you got somebody that looks like he's actually ready to fight. But reality is this guy's probably a lot better than I'm giving him credit for. But yeah, Cortavius Romeus versus Michael Imparato. All right. Yep. I'm definitely getting canceled today.
Cortavius Romeus is a cool name.
That's a fun name. So walk me through this fight. How is it going to go down?
Yeah, so we've got two guys that I would say are generally very grappling heavy. Romeus is more comfortable in the striking of the two. Even though like you'll go and look at Romeus's record, there's like 4 armbar submissions on it. He just absolutely chases those. Imparato, low volume. I know it's kind of wild. is low volume on the feet, decent leg kicks, high tight guard. Wants it to go to the ground ultimately pretty much every fight. That's his game plan. And he goes there even if that means getting taken down himself. He has a couple wins off of his back. He got taken down a bunch of times against Tolliver, won that just because Tolliver did nothing on the top. Got a win against Bandejas, who had some nasty knockouts in Bellator, and he won that one by submission. I think off his back as well. And Romeus, Also, generally wants to get the ground to the or fight to the ground, but better striker of the two, I would say. Pretty much every
You're
single
cutting out a
fight,
little bit
at
here.
least that.
You mind starting
sorry.
over the start of that take again? You're good volume wise. You're just cutting in and out internet wise. Can't hear you right now. You sounded fine. It was just like
Beginning of Romeus and Imperato.
not the very start of it's just like the second part. Like we just lost you for the last 15 seconds of that part.
Okay, yeah.
That you started into.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, he won off his back against Tolliver, won by sub against Bandejas, who's a nasty guy in Bellator, striker. But this dude comes out super hot pretty much every fight that you'll see him in. Absolutely headhunts, and it's caused him problems in the past. He lost in like 10 seconds against Tavares. Or not 10 seconds, but less than a minute for sure, or Tavares. So, I mean, he could end up doing that here, and we could see Imperato on his back foot because of that. Like, I'm going to lean Cortadius because I do think there's a chance that the pressure on the Romeus side of things might even prevent this fight from going to the ground at all. And if it does stay on the feet, like if Romeus is that active and can just like kind of dodge around, defend some takedowns from Imperato, I think he can probably catch him by knockout here.
Yeah, I like the versatility here on the Cortavius side. I think both guys are very content being on the ground. Obviously, you see by their records above them there. It feels like Cortavius is more adept at winning a fight on the ground, and even if he is on his back, he's capable of managing that situation and finding a submission or looking for one of his own with top control. So I like the value there for sure.
Right on. All right. With that said, moving on from there, we've got Rizvan Kuniev versus Hugo Cunha.
We lost Jackson real quick.
We lost Jackson. All right, so we'll wait a second here. Now we're at the Rizvan versus Kuniev fight here versus I didn't even say his name right. Rizvan Kuniev versus Hugo Cunha. What should we be expecting here? We've got a guy about to hit the sui, and the guy looking at the camera.
Yeah, it's funny if you look up Hugo Cunha, there's literally like no pictures of him online that aren't funny. Like this is one of the more normal ones of him. But he is going up against Rizvan, who we've seen before on Contender Series. He beat Renan Ferreira, who we know is like super good now. Unfortunately, Rizvan ended up testing positive for 4 different types of steroids after that fight. So that cool. I think he got dropped by the PFL and then now is somehow back on Contender Series. It seems like he's still in really good shape. Seems like he still like has his whole skill set without the steroids, still training with high level guys. And he's a striker. He can find some takedowns, get control for sure, but he's definitely more of a striker. His win against Anthony Hamilton was a guillotine. Hugo, a wrestler, some pretty good grappling for a heavyweight fighter. He is really bad at striking, though, I would say. Super low volume, just looks uncomfortable striking. He's just low volume in general, too. Like, against Neves, he didn't shoot a takedown the entire first round, even though that's all he does. And then he ended up reversing a position to win that fight. It wasn't even his own takedown. And this guy's supposed to be like a champion wrestler. From what I've seen out of these guys, Rizvan is going to be a lot more comfortable in the striking department and can probably wrestle with Cunha. Haven't been too impressed by Cunha's like MMA wrestling so far, even though he does have that background. So we could just start seeing that improve out of nowhere with some built-up confidence. But I think Cunha wins here. Definitely think this one could go to decision, but like we said earlier, all of these guys realistically are going to be headhunting to try to get that UFC contract. But yeah, I mean, we've seen him beat Ferreira, like Renan Ferreira. I don't think Cunha is anywhere near the level of that guy, so I think it's very safe to lean with Rizvan here.
Right on. All right, moving on to the next bout. we have Andreas Gustafsson versus Pat Pitelic. Wasn't this guy, or was like he a relative to somebody that was in like the OC and like big name? I'm familiar with the Gustafsson name.
Gustafsson, I don't know. I don't know up top. Maybe.
Well, there's definitely the Gustafson that fought like John Jones and stuff.
Mhm.
It's not him, but it might be a relative.
Okay,
that
that's
could be
why
cool.
it stuck in my head. I'm like, that'd be crazy. Anyways, let's walk into this without my unfamiliarity. He is a 2-1 favorite by a prediction strike. It looks like here, so that's enticing. But walk us down.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're getting. I don't really know the exact odds right now, but I think we're getting a good price relative to most markets on Pat Pitlick here. Actually, I think he might still be like a dog, but not that big of a dog in most markets. So if you think just off the bat that Pitlick is going to win this one, PS is a great spot for you. Um, Both of these guys are definitely finishers. Both of these guys are on the older side of things as far as Contender Series goes. You can see Andreas is 33, Pat's 35. And Pitlick is a big, I'd say, long guy for this weight class. Uses his range or uses his length well to manage range. Controls the center of the octagon. Throws mostly straight shots, jabs, kicks. A bunch of power. 9 of his 9 wins in MMA are by knockout. I'd say the biggest question with him is the 4-year gap he took between his fight with Jake Lindsay and his fight and his win in 2022. It was because of a back injury, I believe. He won most recently in 2024, though, against Ryan Leninger. And Gustafsson is a very fun fighter as well. Definitely a finisher like Pitlick. In his fight against Tony Lampinen, he was lighting him up with some really nice combos. Saw that he could eat some shots for sure. This guy is definitely not afraid to pay to play, so to speak, in terms of the striking. He's got a good chin on him. And Andreas, super dangerous, also a big guy for this weight class. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that size that normally benefits Pat Pitlick so much is going to be as big of a factor. He could even be bigger than Pat. He generally likes a dogfight, likes to fight in the clinch, throws a bit less straight shots than does Pitlick, throws like big overhands, lets himself get hurt for sure. I don't think he's going to get knocked out here by Pitlick, or at least I'd say that's less likely than him knocking out Pitlick. He's just like a little bit more aggressive, less patient. Also has just a really solid chin. He got cut up super bad against Lampinen and just like kept on fighting. Got stopped like a bunch of times in that one fight. He's a really tough dude. Fight against Schober lasted only like 10 seconds just because of one of those huge overhands and then ground and pound after he dropped him. Yeah, I think he should be able to close the distance here against Pitlick, who's probably the more patient technical striker of the two. I don't think the range management that Pitlick normally relies on is going to be able to come into play here just because Andreas loves a dogfight so much, is so big and aggressive. So I'm going to side with Gustafsson on this one, but we're getting disproportionately good odds for Pitlick here on Prediction Strike.
It's always weird when you see a 35-year-old in the Contender Series like this.
I know.
I mean, there's obviously a bunch of different career paths and ways to get here, but it seems interesting. I will definitely be siding on the Gustafsson side with you on this one.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because Pitlick like never takes any fights. So
yeah,
it's like since we've seen him be like an actual prospect, it's been.
We lost you for a second there, Jackson.
I think he's still frozen.
Yeah, I think he's frozen again. It's a good action shot, though.
Yeah, he's about to spit some.
Oh, nope, there he is.
There we go. What, did I get paused in a...
Yeah, you got paused in the middle of your take there.
Oh, nice. I'm not sure what I was going to say there about Pitlick, but yeah, that's the whole card. I don't think we picked a single, like, at least just like market-wise, a single underdog. I think we picked all the favorites here.
Well, in our market, the first fight was a consensus grip of underdog for us, which is always what you want to see
Cody
here.
Haddon.
Yeah. Do you see the same or a similar amount of contracts being offered as the first week or less? It seems like probably less.
I feel like it's got to be less. 4 to start off with was kind of wild. I do think Torres Finney's going to get one. I think
you do have 2 guys, I guess, in this card that have already won a Contender Series fight. So you ought to think if they win another one, they'll probably get a contract. But
yeah, I think that those 2 fights for sure. And then maybe they're old, so I figure like if Pat Pitlick or Gustafsson get one of those guys will probably get offered a contract. But
so we'll probably see 3, maybe, I'd guess.
Yeah, 3.
Could see 3 leaves if things go according to plan.
Yeah, I don't really know if anyone's going to be honest, anyone's going to come out of this Billy Brand or like Cortavius Romius fight.
No, probably not. I mean, it probably depends on how it happens. If you see some like ridiculous knockout where someone looks super dominant, I feel like Dana's really convinced to chuck people a contract in those type of scenarios. So you never know, but it seems like a little bit less hype on this card compared to last week.
Definitely, and I think probably if I had to give a lock for a contract this week, it'd be Torres Finney. That dude's an animal.
Yeah. Seems like that's where most of your confidence was, or at least a guy who's been on your radar for a while.
Yeah. And Cam Raston is meh.
With that said, I think that's all we have in this particular card. Thank you to Jackson once again for putting this together and walk us through these kind of prospects here so we have a little bit more knowledge. Always helps me listening to it and just kind of going about like, okay, these are the guys that I actually should be paying attention to and who will most likely rise. I always do agree, though, with you having these guys come out at like age 35. It's just like interesting time. I don't know. It'll be a fun card. Excited to see how it goes down. Once again, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Download the Prediction Strike app, of course. And have a great day if you aren't already. So until next time.
Absolutely.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.